Okay, this is Moja Moja the King, Satan Tree, Fimasha, bye bye. You between Yalas, the me are for the very export, Fimasha, this is the first period. Ambazuzus, Wala, Inshallah, Mama Fuma, Wala, Inshallah, the export don't violate human rights. So they invite down for a book, they sue the export, so violate human rights, Fimasha. You remember? That's what you do about human rights. Una share as una join my contribute them. I go bring for una the video where we queue them up. Now bear with me 1 second and then mash fire. So now wait 1 second. I will add the video. When you look at the situation, okay, my contributor them. So when I listen to this and then the analysis and everything else, and then when I answer the question, when I leave a comment in the comment section, whether it be dishonest or it just be ignorant. When I listen. When you look at the situation, Southern Cameroons had a constitution. The Republic of Cameroon had a constitution. This is the constitution of the Republic of Cameroon. Constitution of 4th March 1960. This is their constitution. And this is the one of Southern Cameroon. But when you look at the historical facts they're putting, they downplay the Southern Cameroon constitution and make as if it was nothing. It was a inexistent document. This constitution was enacted by the British institutions, the Queen of England, the highest authority. No Englishman has ever challenged it.
You see, I'm not agreeing on that. I'm not agreeing.
Let him land.
Because he gives the impression that I'm arguing. What I'm saying is this.
You are just stating the point.
Yeah, this is what Southern Cameroon, the delegation should have presented.
Britain was that, can you modify this constitution after the talks? This constitution of 4th of March 1960.
When the constitution was enacted and presented, my problem is where were the Southern Cameroonian politicians?
He just told you that most of them were not even aware of that constitution. He just told you because Foncha took it and hid it. Most of them were not even aware.
Yeah, but I just read the commissioner who says that the guys he's suggesting that they should engage what you call it exchange of notes, and that they should go and discuss it. And he says that Motombi Wolita raised a question.
Okay, I want to agree with all that. I am saying that in the presence of this constitution, we have a state with full powers, with parliament, with government, with civil service, with judiciary, with everything. You cannot, in the presence of this, rely on exchange of notes. You cannot. My country people then, when I don't hear wait Barrister Ashu Emmanuel just come on for talk now literally the most intellectually dishonest thing where I don't ever hear some person where he call itself say he be an intellectual, he talk him. This man call himself say be barrister, lawyer, where he don't know ye the significance of exchange of notes. An international agreement between two sovereign states. It compare them with a so-called constitution of a territory that was administered by a different country. Remember, say the so-called constitution of the former British Southern Cameroons, it will be admitted and adopted and signed, but in London by the British. Because the former British Southern Cameroons, it not be get the sovereignty, it not be get the authority, the supreme power for govern itself. Literally, Article 4 of the United Nations General Assembly, their trusteeship agreement with the United Kingdom, it talk for day. Say the UK, it get all the sovereign power for administer that territory, whether na legislative, judiciary, and everything else, even for provide security. Now, why that way? The former British Southern Cameroons, it no be fit get an army because the United Kingdom, it be get responsibility for protect that territory because it be been a territory under the British, not a sovereign state. There is a difference between a state and a sovereign state. Sovereign states, they get heads of state. If you call yourself British Southern Cameroon, say when I be been a state, if you tell we who be your head of state, if you tell we can you print money, you get army.
Because if you make laws, you're supposed to defend that law with an army. But the British Southern Cameroons, it never ever exercised sovereignty. Remember that. So, person they want for compare exchange of notes when an international treaty it be signed by the British ambassador for Yaoundé and President Amadou Ahidjo. International treaty. This man we call himself a lawyer. If they can't talk say exchange of notes it no be as important. Make we forget him. International treaty. Can you imagine? See how Anglophones they do intellectual gymnastics for try for fit a narrative where no hold. It desperately try for make it look like say Southern Cameroon to be being a state for try for sort of like boost the ego. And now this kind level of deliberate manipulation it bring we Ambazonia terrorism. And now why that we are be so animated? Now why that we are to make this presentation? Because it not just be for nothing. People the way they go listen to this kind of a charlatan. And then they go carry check up and carry guns, they go to kill people then. Start to target the educated. Start to target people like myself. Target people like Professor Julius. Target people then like Cardinal Tumin, the fun of Sok. Target people like Dr. Simon Munzu. Because they listen to these kind of people the way they know the truth. I like for believe, say it be educated enough for know the truth. Which means it lie. I don't know which one be worse. If it be woefully ignorant, or it be wicked enough for know the truth and then come up publicly can lie. I don't know which one be worse. But either way, this kind of level of I don't even know how to call them. The whole thing, it don't just shock me. Not that the first time I don't hear you talk, but now say I don't just revisit this particular issue. It come to the point where I be decide now for find Professor Julius Ngo his telephone number for call you for get a conversation because I needed to put this to rest. And now why that way I want to put this information out there. I could do another presentation another time where I could bring to Una the actual trusteeship agreement. When I remember, say most of these people, the way they call themselves lawyers, barristers, this and that. So once they don't form so-called internet government, then for so-called Ambazonia, Facebook country, where they talk about there was no union treaty, all of that nonsense. Trust me, these people, they don't even know the beginning of the history of the former British Southern Cameroons. Now me, I be present to them for the very first time the actual exchange of notes where it be signed between the British government and the Cameroon government for Yaoundé international agreement. For the first time, many of them see when me I be bring them that information. It take me less than 20 minutes for Google the information. The information they out there. It's available for any person. Any person. If you get internet connection, you feel go download the exchange of notes, read them for yourself. When we talk about resolution 1608, it's available online. The United Nations Digital Archive, it get the resolutions there for day. Download them, read them for yourself. The trusteeship agreement, it there for day. The letters, the way Jongo Foncha, Endele, President Amadou Ahidjo, they will write them to the United Nations back and forth. They are archived online. If you want to know the truth, it's available. For the very first time, many Anglophones, many Cameroonians, they will see the actual agreement where the British, they signed up with President Amadou Ahidjo for hand over that territory to Cameroon. That agreement, the exchange of notes, now ye terminate the trusteeship agreement. The former British Southern Cameroon did not exist except for the fact say now a trust territory. And how they terminate that trusteeship agreement? It was by the exchange of notes. That's how the trusteeship agreement was terminated. How then can you be an intellectual and you be honest and you can't talk say no, we no need for consider the exchange of notes because the British they will sign a so-called constitution. When I listen, Enugu na a state inside Nigeria. Cross Rivers na a state inside Nigeria. Akwa Ibom na a state inside Nigeria. But do they have seats at the United Nations? No. Any two people, the way they form an organization. For example, Ntarikon Credit Union, they get constitution. Does that mean Tarikon Credit Union is a sovereign state that has a head of state, an army, and should be admitted in the United Nations? No. Because they get constitution. So what? Do they have the sovereign power to govern themselves, to print money, to have an army, to engage in international relations and international diplomatic relations with other countries, to come up with a travel document like a passport that would be respected internationally? Do they have that power? Just because you have a constitution does not make you a sovereign state. And they use this word state for confuse una. Like I talk, California now a federated state within the United States of America. The USA again now 50 states inside one country. Does that mean California get flag, it get anthem, it get a governor, they elect their own legislation, so they get a senate, they get their own house of representatives for the state of California, they make their own laws for the state of California. But does that mean California is a country? Does it make it a sovereign state? No. It's just a federated state without any international powers. It no fit enter into international treaties, it no get its own army, it no fit print its own money, because now just part of the United States of America. So the former Southern Cameroons, it was a territory that was administered by the British. It can have a government just like how the Tarikon Credit Union fit form its own government. You get a chief executive officer. You can call it anything. Okay, take for example this Ambazonia people, the way they create the Njangi house now. How many government they get them? Sako get their own government. Marianta get government. Chris Anu get government. Yerima then for that side too, they get government with Sisiko Ayuktabe. Does that mean there are 4 countries? No, let us be realistic. Let us think. So just because you say you get government or you get constitution, so what? What powers do you have? Who first signed the constitution? That's the first thing. When you look at the constitution of Cameroon, it will be adopted by the Parliament of the Republic of Cameroon, and it be signed into law by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, because that country is a sovereign state. But when you look at what the way Barrister Ashu Emmanuel it show am for una for screen day, now a constitution where the authority it not even come from the people of the former Southern Cameroons. That constitution it will be signed by people them inside London. They will debate them now for Parliament for London, and then sign them for administer that territory, because that territory will be now under the British. So they never get the powers for do anything. Yes, they get constitution, but so what? What powers do you have within that constitution when the trusteeship agreement still stands? And the trusteeship agreement, it be clear, it be written in black and white. The United Kingdom, it get the sovereign power for get a legislature, for do military and every other control over that territory. It belongs to the United Kingdom. My country people them. Make I take this opportunity for educate Barrister Ashu Emmanuel. If you no be understand, make it understand today. The act of the exchange of notes, it terminate the trusteeship agreement, thereby making that so-called constitution null and void. That so-called constitution where Ashu Emmanuel it hold them for his hand, it will be signed by the British Parliament in London. It will be adopted in London. And the authority where the British they will get them for administer that territory comes from the trusteeship agreement with the United Nations. At the time where the British they signed the exchange of notes with President Amadou Ahidjo on the 1st of October 1961, they terminate the trusteeship agreement. They terminate the authority where the British they will get them for administer that territory. And by so doing, the action of the exchange of notes terminating the trusteeship agreement make that so-called constitution null and void. I don't know if that one a bit too complex for a person like Barrister Ashu Emmanuel for understand them. That piece of paper where they hold on for your hand, it became useless as toilet tissue from the 1st of October 1961, when the trusteeship agreement it will be terminated by the exchange of notes by that international agreement between the Republic of Cameroon. And another point we want to need to understand, toilet tissue from the 1st of October 1961, when the trusteeship agreement ABB terminated by the exchange of notes by that international agreement between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Cameroon. And another point we want to need to understand, now say there is no such thing on international stage known as British Southern Cameroons. The legal document when the trusteeship agreement it be signed for a territory known as British Cameroons or the Cameroons under British administration. This includes the former British Northern Cameroon. So the so-called Southern Cameroons as an entity on its own does not exist. The territory under the trusteeship agreement it be known as the Cameroons under British administration. So if Barrister Ashu Emmanuel want for claim say they be get a constitution where it means that they be a state, so what does that make the former Northern Cameroons? Are you also claiming that they were also a state? Because you know if you separate the two, the British they will get now one agreement with the United Nations for administer British Cameroons, which includes Southern and Northern Cameroons. So if you claim, say the former British Northern Cameroons or the former British Southern Cameroons, it being a state, then what was the Northern Cameroons? Were they also a state? We now need to understand these things then, because even at the time when we the Northern Cameroons, they don't get the plebiscite and they don't decide they want to join Nigeria, they will be ready for join Nigeria any minute. But because of the infighting inside the Southern Cameroons and the Labour fight Foncha, they don't make up their mind waiting for do. One side be one for join Nigeria, the other side be one for join Cameroon. So that's why they will come up with that plebiscite. And now, the British Southern Cameroons, they will ask the United Nations for continue the trusteeship agreement longer. But it not be possible because the Southern Cameroons, it wasn't an entity on its own. They were joined with the Northern Cameroons for form the trusteeship agreement when the British Cameroons or the Cameroons under British administration. So now why that way? The United Nations BCM say if the Northern Cameroons get for join Nigeria and then wait another date for the British Southern Cameroons for join Cameroon, it means now that they get to first terminate the trusteeship agreement first and then redraft another agreement just for the Southern Cameroons. And that was not, it was too cumbersome a task to do. So now why that way the British, the United Nations and everyone else involved, if it talks say no, the Northern Cameroons could join Nigeria by the 1st of June 1961, and by the 1st of October 1961, the Southern Cameroons could join Cameroon, so that the trusteeship agreement for the Cameroons under British administration it could be terminated. They no go terminate one and then redraft another agreement. No, just because the British Southern Cameroons and their politicians they will be confused and they will fight amongst themselves. That was not justification enough for continue the trusteeship agreement. Barrister Ashu Emmanuel knows this. He understands this truth and this reality. Say, Southern Cameroons was not an entity. You want to be a government created by what instrument? The only legal instrument where it be exist for identify that territory now the trusteeship agreement. And the trusteeship agreement was for the Cameroons under British administration, which includes Northern Cameroon. So you don't have to separate the two because the agreement was for one territory. You should only separate them for administrative purposes, which the British had the latitude to do under the trusteeship agreement. And my next presentation, I will bring una the actual trusteeship agreement, make una examine them for ourselves. So the agreement itself was for the Cameroons under British administration. will include the northern and the southern Cameroons. Now the British, they divide the territory into northern and southern Cameroons for administrative purposes. But legally, that entity was one. The Cameroons under British administration. That is the legal title of that entity. And the agreement itself, the trusteeship agreement itself, it will only be dissolved, or the agreement, it will be cancelled by the exchange of notes where the British government will be signing them with President Amadou Ahidjo for Yaoundé. I go play for una this conversation where I can't forget them with Professor Julius Ngo. And I hope say if una get time una fit listen am, but I don't summarize everything for this audio way I make them now. Yes, hello Professor Julius. Nice to talk to you.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Okay, good evening. It's a pleasure talking to you finally. I've wanted to talk to you for a long time concerning this issue about our history.
Yes. It's so unfortunate that most Cameroonians who make so much noise, they don't know the history of the country.
Yes, I hope you do not mind. Do I have your permission to record this conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, happy days. And just for your consideration as well, I have a baby with me, so he's playing in the background, and I think we're disconnected. If you can hear me, let me know.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think we were disconnected for a second. Like I was saying, I have a baby playing in the background. So if you hear some noises in the background, just ignore it. He's just playing with his toys and stuff. So the issue of the history of the former British Southern Cameroons keeps coming up, as you've mentioned before, because of the efforts that people make to try and distort the history. The reason I'm calling you is because of an exchange that I heard you with Barrister Ashu Emmanuel on my Media Prime. I don't know when that was recorded, but he was basically trying his hardest to put across the point that Southern Cameroons was a state. I think we're disconnected again. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Okay, so I was talking about Barrister Ashu trying to present some information. He presented the constitution of the former British Southern Cameroons and talking about the resolution 1608, that it said in the resolution 1608 that the government of Southern Cameroon. So based on those two, how can I put it? For him, that was evidence enough to say that Southern Cameroons was a state. And I could tell you were a bit frustrated at his attempt to distort this part of the history. But to be quite honest with you, I don't think you did a good job at explaining to the people where the distortion came from. You know, so when I listened to it, I did not quite get your argument, and because there is evidence to the fact that it wasn't a state, but I did not see you present it.
Well, okay, let me just say it very briefly.
Yes.
Okay. There are 4 conditions to be fulfilled for a territory with people to be called a state. 4 conditions.
Yes.
1, you must have a recognized territory.
Recognized by who?
And
Recognized
by the international community.
Okay.
Secondly, must have a population. Are you there?
I'm there. I'm listening. What?
Yeah. Thirdly, must have a government.
Okay.
And finally, must be able to conduct international relations.
Thank you.
The problem that some Cameroonians fail to understand is that the government of Dr. EML in Delhi
Yes.
from May 1958
Yes.
to January 1959, and the government of John Go Foncha from January 1959 to 30th of September
1961.
1961.
Yes.
Those governments were put in place in fulfillment of Article 5 of the UN and trusteeship
Agreement.
which calls on the United Kingdom
To administer that territory.
yes, from an administrative point of view, legislative point of view, and all whatnot.
But Professor,
And the governments.
Professor, sorry to interrupt. But you did not make this point. You did not make this point. So that's why he just came there and flashed around some pieces of paper. You know, our people are gullible and our people haven't got the time and the know-how to listen to details. You know, in a few sentences like you've just explained, it would have been clear. You know, because and another point that he was trying to bamboozle people because our people don't understand is the question of sovereignty.
Yeah. So no, let me finish. So the issue of having a government.
Yes.
That government was put in place by the United Kingdom.
Yes.
Yes. So it was not a government of Saudi Cameroonians running their affairs.
Okay. Can I just interrupt because I want us to have a give and take in this conversation. So when Barrister Ashu was flashing the constitution of Southern Cameroons and whatnot, I was cringing and begging for you to ask him one simple question.
No, the point is this. Maybe you got it. You got it halfway. It was a long, almost 2 hours of the whole issue. 2 hours.
Yes.
So it was not a discussion solely on that. It was for 2 hours. And you see, it was simple. What he played around as the constitution of Southern Cameroon. The constitution was approved by whom?
Exactly.
By the UK government.
That is the point I was hoping for you to make. That you may call it the constitution of Southern Cameroons, but it was authorized by a foreign entity. The Southern Cameroons, as you call it, a state. How can you claim to be a state, but you don't have the powers to enact a constitution? It had to be signed and authorized from abroad.
Yeah, that's the point. Then the third point is the Southern Cameroon government, be it in Delhi or Foncha, had no authority to engage in foreign relations.
Exactly. And you see, this is the point I'm making. Please bear with me, because the thing is, what I have come to understand is that our people are gullible. And I say this with all humility. Our people are gullible. They do not understand complex issues. They want you to tell them what they already believe, what they want to hear. So in order to challenge these perceptions, and some of these falsehoods, as you can see, that are spread around, are from intellectuals. People who come around and with big titles, barrister this, lawyer, teacher. They are the ones spreading these things. So imagine what a layperson who is not educated, imagine what a layperson who is not educated, they will believe them, they will swallow this nonsense. That's why it becomes even more important for people like you and myself to explain it to them at the most basic level.
Yeah, you see, I agree with you.
Yes.
Honestly, the government is not serious enough. The government doesn't sponsor or finance conferences or debates on such issues.
Mm-hmm.
You won't believe. I published a recent book. Everybody said that it's good. But for them to buy and read, no.
No one, well, if you are waiting for Cameroonians to buy and read, if you want to hide a secret to Cameroonians, to Africans in general, put it in a book. Write it down in a book.
Yes.
That's the safest place for a secret.
I explain all of this in the book. I explain this UN resolution 1608. Explain it conveniently. I explain the exchange of notes, and I explain how Poland draws it to bear has deceived the young Anglophones by talking of
a union treaty.
Yes.
Oh, you see, the thing is, like we just agreed, our people don't read. They are lazy, intellectually lazy. That is just the truth. It's not insulting to accept reality. And you see, there is this, like, I have learned a lot, and I want to thank you for the lessons and the information. I've learned a lot from listening to you and other people. I don't believe in one source only, and I don't believe in just listening to what someone has to say. As a fellow intellectual as well, I do my own research.